Pakistan's federal development spending has fallen well behind target, with the government using just over half of the original budget set aside for public welfare and infrastructure projects in the first 11 months of the outgoing fiscal year. According to the Ministry of Planning and Development, actual spending under the Public Sector Development Program or PSDP stood at 529.8 billion rupees by the end of May. That is 52.4% of the original 1.01 trillion rupees allocation. The PSDP is Pakistan's main federal development budget. It funds roads, power projects, water schemes, higher education, health, IT, and development work in special regions such as Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. But this year, the program was squeezed from two sides. First, the government cut the PSDP by 173 billion rupees after the US-Israel attack on Iran, as rising petroleum prices pushed it to divert money towards fuel subsidies. That brought the development envelope down from 1.01 trillion rupees to 837 billion rupees. Against this reduced amount, utilization looks better at around 63%. But against the original budget approved for the year, the government still spent only about half. The second problem was implementation. The Planning Commission had authorized almost the entire revised allocation by the end of May, approving 835.6 billion rupees out of 837 billion rupees. But the actual spending remained far lower at 529.8 billion rupees. That gap points to a familiar issue in Pakistan's development cycle. Money may be authorized on paper, but projects often move slowly because of resource constraints, weak execution capacity, and delays within ministries and agencies. The pattern was uneven across sectors. Parliamentarians' development schemes, officially called the Sustainable Development Goals Achievement Program, moved relatively quickly. Around 44 billion rupees was spent in about 4 months, making it one of the fastest executed programs. That was roughly 70% of its revised allocation. By contrast, special regions struggled. Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan saw 153.86 billion rupees in development spending, or 62% of their annual allocation. Their funding had already been cut by 52 billion rupees to help finance fuel subsidies. Major infrastructure agencies also lagged. The National Highway Authority spent 85 billion rupees in the first 11 months, just 46% of its revised 185 billion rupees allocation. The power sector did better, using 53.7 billion rupees out of 75 billion rupees, or around 73.5%. The water sector, a critical area for a water-stressed country like Pakistan, spent 69.9 billion rupees against a revised allocation of 106.6 billion rupees. That is about 65% utilization. Higher education was among the stronger performers, spending 28 billion rupees out of 35 billion rupees. The Federal Education Ministry also used around 78% of its revised allocation, but health and IT remained weak. The National Health Services sector spent just 3.9 billion rupees against an allocation of 11.6 billion rupees, a utilization rate of 33%. The Information Technology Division used 4.9 billion rupees out of 16.5 billion rupees, or about 30%. This matters because development spending is often the first area to be cut when Pakistan faces fiscal pressure. Under the government's relief strategy, PSDP spending should have crossed 878 billion rupees by the end of May against the original allocation, or around 730 billion rupees even under the reduced envelope. Instead, actual spending remains well below both benchmarks. The government says the release mechanism is designed to help manage revenue shortfalls while staying within fiscal targets agreed with the IMF. But the result is that public development projects from roads and water infrastructure to health, education, and IT often absorb the pressure. For citizens, that means delayed services, slower infrastructure work, and less visible public investment. For the economy, it means weaker development momentum at a time when Pakistan is trying to balance fiscal discipline with growth needs. For more details on this, read Khali Kiani's story for Dawn, linked in description.